Okay, I will start.
We good, Mark?
Not yet.
Oh,
He needs to make sure the sound is coming through. There's a little bit of a delay.
got it.
Okay, Erica, we can start it.
All right, here we go. Let me share screen, share computer screen. Okay, what is this? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Frausto Aguado. I am the Executive Director for the Greater San Gabriel Pomona Valley Chapter of the American Red Cross. And thank you everyone for joining us in this kickoff of the Prepare Baldwin Park Coalition. I will be your host today, and I will be laying out the groundwork of what we're doing with this initiative in Baldwin Park. So just a rundown of today's agendas. We're going to start with some introductions in a bit. We're going to talk about some American Red Cross background, why disaster preparedness is important or should be important to you, an introduction to this initiative called Prepare LA. We're going to go over some hazards and risks in Baldwin Park. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the Prepare LA model and talk about next steps as well. And then at the end of this presentation, we will leave room for questions or comments. And if you do have questions or comments, I understand this is being aired through YouTube. So please feel free to text them to Yesenia Miranda Mesa. Here is her phone number.
So going into Laverne, unknown duration period of time.
Her phone number, 626-418-9102. And her email address, yesenia.mirandamesa2@redcross.org. And I will be sharing this number and email throughout the presentation. So please feel free to send questions and we will get to them at the end of this presentation. So let's start with some introduction. I am very thankful and appreciative to have the Baldwin Park Mayor Emmanuel Estrada. I'm gonna kick it to Mayor for some comments.
Sure. So hey Erica, and hey everybody else. Hey Red Cross team, and of course our city staff that's here with us. I'm very excited to hear about the plan and how we can work together to do things. I know that the Red Cross has already been out here in the city. I believe you guys handed out some hand sanitizers, correct?
Yes.
and I heard they smell really good, so your hands can be smelling like apple or grape. So I'm very thankful. I'm excited for the opportunities that are going to come out of this. I'm excited that we can, create a more and better prepared Baldwin Park. I'm eager to learn and hear discussion between, of course, the Red Cross and our constituents, and have them have their answers, have their questions answered, of course, and spread some good information on how we can better prepare. I think this past year has really taught us how important it is to prepare for the unforeseeable. Even if we think that it's not going to happen or is not going to happen in our lifetime, we never know. And prevention is always prevention and preventative planning is always welcomed, right? And I believe Councilmember Danny Damien is here with us as well.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Erica, thank you so much for giving us this presentation today. I myself am actually very excited about hearing, getting ready to have our emergency preparedness. I've been pushing for this, as a resident, because I really believe that we just never know. It's always better to be safe than sorry. And I believe that we're always, we're always having to prepare for the unexpected. So I'm very excited, and hopefully, the community is watching so they can kind of get some pointers from what you have to offer as a Red Cross. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. All right, and I think we have another, I think we have Councilmember Paul Hernandez just joined. Hi, Councilmember.
How are we doing? Can you hear me today?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, I think my colleagues said it just well. This is something that is dear and near to my heart for obvious reasons. Working in crisis management and public policy in this arena for over 18 plus years, I understand the value that the Red Cross provides, and more importantly, neighbors helping neighbors, which is really what this is all about. Having a more resilient community prepares us to be much more better adapt for when circumstances change in our lives. As we all know, or maybe we don't know, most families can't afford a $500 emergency. And if you compound that during a large scale emergency of not only your home insurance, your car insurance, your medical insurance, these are ways in which, unfortunately, we've seen, communities such as ours go further into debt. And, providing, a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of resources across the board just makes us that much prepared. So, we could try to avoid and more importantly, lessen the impacts for everything. So again, thank you for everything you guys have done. Thank you for your donations that you recently did. And, and again, thanks to the rest of our team that's here, because it just shows, how important this is for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you, council member. And we also have our police chief with us, Police Chief Robert Lopez. How are you doing tonight?
Good, Erica. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with everybody, speak with everybody, hello everybody, on mayor and council members. Thank you so much for this, and thank you to the Red Cross. It's great to be a partner with the Red Cross. They offer the community many resources, and they also provide detailed information on how to be better prepared for natural and human disasters that we all know can happen suddenly and without warning. One of the things I went to the website, and I strongly encourage everyone to take the time to visit the Red Cross website and look at preparesouthcal.org for some great information on how to prepare yourself and what you should look for, what you should set aside in order to be prepared for a disaster. So my thanks to you for that information, and I'm hoping that everybody takes the time to look at the website and study the many things that Red Cross offers for us to be prepared for a disaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And we also have with us our LA County Fire Chief, Mike Inman.
I'm sorry, that's Mike Inman, and I'm sorry, I'm driving. So thank you for the introduction. I'm an assistant chief with the LA County Fire Department, and I function as the fire chief for City of Baldwin Park. And as we all know, then our partnership with the Red Cross is vast and probably more frequent than most people realize, having to do with something as simple as a house fire, and how the partnership with the Red Cross has developed over the years, and just proud to be part of this coalition. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I'm going to go back to sharing my screen now, if everyone can bear with me. Okay, back to introductions. Thank you, and I also want to give a big thank you to our city manager and city staff. The city has been very accommodating in this new partnership with the Red Cross. We really appreciate the invitation and for everything that the city does. Also wanted to acknowledge the offices. I know you're tuning in, the offices of Congresswoman Grace Napolitano, Elena Robles for tuning in, Senator Susan Rubio's office, Danica Mendoza, and then also the office of Assemblymember Blanca Rubio, Veronica Lopez. Thank you for also being a part of this coalition. Now I just want to introduce the American Red Cross team. Of course, I introduced myself, but also my co-captain in all of this, Scott Safers, who is our disaster program manager. Scott, if you can unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Sapers. I'm the disaster program manager for our chapter. My responsibility is to cover all aspects of preparedness, response, and recovery for anything from a single family house fire up to a major large scale earthquake type disaster.
Thank you, Scott. And we also have Jennifer Dutton, who is our disaster program specialist.
Hi, everyone. Like Erica said, my name is Jennifer Dutton. I'm the Disaster Program Specialist for the San Gabriel Pomona Valley area, and I work directly with Scott.
Thank you. And also Yesenia Miranda Mesa, who is a support in this coalition as well and part of the team. Yesenia?
Excuse the background noise. I do apologize. They're doing some work here. And my name is Yesenia Miranda Mesa. I'm the Business Operations Specialist for the Red Cross for the Greater San Gabriel Pomona Valleys chapter. And I'm here just to back up Erica and my team. So, nice seeing everybody.
Thank you, Yesenia. And I think in this new virtual world, we're going to have a lot of background noise. I think you might hear my kids at some point during this meeting. So, you know, we're still learning. It's been a year, almost a year into the pandemic, but we're still learning, and we're going to get through this together. So next, I'm going to move this presentation along. That's my, okay. So now I want to talk a little bit more about the City of Baldwin Park and American Red Cross partnership. So right before the pandemic, the Red Cross staff and city staff were meeting, talking about this coalition, talking about how we're going to kick off this coalition. Unfortunately, again, you know, we're always thinking about natural disasters, earthquakes, fires. The pandemic, we didn't foresee that, of course, and that really threw a wrench in our plans. But you know, it's really important to always keep in mind emergency preparedness, because especially during this time in the pandemic, if a fire happens, if an earthquake happens, we still have to respond, and we still have to rally together as a community. So I'm really, really appreciative that we're able to kick this off now, even in this virtual world. We're going to do the best we can, and hopefully when this is, you know, when the situation is much better, we'll be able to meet in person. But we're going to do what we can for now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Red Cross now. The mission of the American Red Cross is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. The American Red Cross, we rely on our generous volunteers. We have so many volunteers that when there is a local home fire, they are responding. They are getting up in the middle of the night to comfort someone who has just gone through just a traumatic event in their life. And also the generosity of donors. We depend on donations to run the organization. We do not receive government funding. So because of our volunteers and our generous donors, we're able to do the work we do and to serve our mission. Red Cross lines of service. Now, oftentimes you think about the Red Cross and you automatically think of blood. The Red Cross is coming from my blood. Well, that is true. You know, there is always a dire need for blood, especially right now with the work that we're doing with collecting convalescent plasma, collecting the antibodies that right now is having a significant role in the battle against the coronavirus. But there are other things that the Red Cross does as well. Of course, we talked about disaster services. When there is a large wildfire, as we saw last summer, the Bobcat fire that hit the foothills, the Red Cross is there to respond. And oftentimes it's not a huge wildfire, it's an apartment fire, it's a home fire. The Red Cross is still responding to that. It might look a little bit different right now because of the pandemic, but we are still there to provide support to the families, to individuals that are suffering through their own disaster that is very large to themselves and very traumatic. We are still doing that. Of course, training services. We provide CPR. A lot of folks don't know that. The CPR, also swim lessons as well, swim certifications, and first aid services as well. International services, often overlooked. You know, we provide a program called the Reunification of Family Services. So it's an international program. If you are displaced or if you lose contact with a family member because of a number of things, the Red Cross steps in to help reunify families. And then also our very, very good work service to armed forces. We provide services to veterans, to active military military members and their families as well. If there is a message that needs to get to an active military member overseas, the Red Cross will be able to deliver that message. And then also with our veterans as well, supporting our veterans and their needs by connecting them to resources. So we are our motto down the street, across the country, all over the world. Again, if anyone has questions or comments, please send them to Yesenia. And here is her phone number and her email address. I will again be sharing this later in the presentation. And please welcome to send me your questions or comments, and we will get that to the end at the end of the presentation. So why disaster preparedness? Why is disaster preparedness important? I know there are a number of things that we're worrying about right now, especially in the pandemic. There's virtual learning, virtual, kids at home, doing Zoom all day. There is, just a number of things that are happening in our life. But when a disaster hits, just imagine that on top of what's going on. So we, with the Red Cross and with the City of Baltimore, we are going to guide you. We are going to really have the city take ownership of this initiative so that you feel prepared, and you're doing this in steps. Sometimes disaster preparedness can be overwhelming. There is a lot to it, but we're going to take this in steps, and we're going to be there right with you. I am going to share a video now, and this is just kind of a video from the Great Shakeout, and it's really significant because when I first saw that, I kind of realized, made me realize what would happen if there was a catastrophic earthquake. Do I have a plan? Well, what would my kids do even? There's just so many things to consider. So I want to share this video with you, and then we'll get back to the presentation.
It's a sunny morning in Southern California. Across the region, 7.5 million people are busy at work. Several 100,000 of them are commuting to jobs in different counties, far from where they live. Over 200,000 commuters work and reside on opposite sides of the San Andreas Fault. Today, these families and many others across the region will be separated. 1,800 people will die. 53,000 people will be injured. And $213 billion in damage will occur. It's 10 a.m. The largest earthquake to hit Southern California in modern times has just begun. Some people react appropriately, others don't. In the intense shaking, nearly 1,500 buildings collapse. Infrastructure is severely compromised, and 300,000 buildings suffer significant damage. The rupture travels 200 miles northwest along the San Andreas Fault, violent shaking lasting as long as 2 minutes in some areas. Finally, the earthquake is over. Many of the lifelines of Southern California have been disrupted. A large number of people are trapped in collapsed buildings. Over 1,600 fires start, some turning into super conflagrations. Millions of people are trying to use their phones, causing the system to become overloaded. In the months ahead, there will be tens of thousands of aftershocks. Residents will struggle to recover from the earthquake. There will be no water for weeks or months. and no electricity. Traveling from point to point within the city will be extremely difficult, and 255,000 people will be displaced from their homes. We are all in this together. We will suffer the consequences if we don't do our part right now. How quickly life gets back to normal after this disaster is up to you and those around you. Your level of personal preparedness will determine your quality of life after the quake. It's a good idea to have a fire extinguisher, a first aid kit, and enough water for each person in your household to have at least 1 gallon of water a day for 3 days. Have an emergency plan. Decide now where you will meet your family after an earthquake. Make sure there's a person out of town you can contact to let your loved ones know that you're okay. Homeowners should be sure to bolt their house to its foundation. Consider whether earthquake insurance makes sense for you as part of your financial plan. Even if you're not a homeowner, you can secure your personal possessions against earthquake damage. Preparedness is not only for the home, but also for business. Be sure that your company has emergency plans for a major earthquake. Empower yourself and your family. Be prepared.
Okay, when I first saw that video, that really shocked me. Prior to joining to the Red Cross, I honestly hadn't considered a lot of these things. The family planning, also the supplies, having at least a few days of water and food, canned food, and realistically, folks, I thought when there was an earthquake or even some catastrophic event, emergency services will get to you in a matter of days. But realistically, we're looking at 2 to 3 weeks of having enough water. Water is vital. And then canned food as well, and emergency supplies. There might be a number of things that are inhibiting emergency services to get to you at that point. There might be power lines, there might be roads that are destroyed. Again, we are going to walk you through this step by step, and really make you feel that you are better prepared than when we started this initiative. So very excited to work with the City of Baldwin Park, and I look forward to our continued partnership. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about an introduction to Prepare LA. What is Prepare LA? What is the Red Cross trying to do here in the community? So collective impact, response, and readiness. So Prepare LA is an initiative that engages and educates leaders in Los Angeles' most disaster vulnerable neighborhoods to build community resilience by providing resources, tools, and training, as well as giving the community a voice in planning for their needs. So that's very important, because I'm here to have a conversation with the community. I'm not here to only tell you what to do and how you should do it. That's not why we're here. We're here to listen to the community and hear about what your situation is, and how are you looking at preparedness currently, and how can we assist you in your preparedness journey. So it's a partnership, and what we're trying to do is build community resilience. Starting with the large stakeholders, from residents, it's really kind of touching all of our individual families and groups, and also the business community as well. So again, we're a partnership. We want to ensure residents can bounce back from disasters large and small. Again, questions or comments, please send them to 626-418-9102. So now I'm going to pass this along to Scott Sapers, who is our disaster program manager. He's going to talk about some hazards that already have been identified in Baldwin Park, and risks as well. I'm going to just let me know when to move forward. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So the slide you're looking at now is the earthquake hazard for Baldwin Park. As you can see, there's not fault lines running directly through Baldwin Park. However, Baldwin Park is surrounded on all sides by fault lines. And what that causes is like huge amounts of shaking. So while you won't have a fissure open up, it's likely to open up anywhere in the city, you will be subjected to extreme shaking around that area. So that's what that looks like. And basically all of Southern California is in an earthquake hazard zone. However, Baldwin Park is lucky not to have a fault running directly through it. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, this is a flood hazard map. As you can see, there is no documented flood hazard for Baldwin Park, meaning that there's not a repeatable flood incident, according to the GIS. However, there's always the potential for localized flooding in small areas. So while there's not a river or a lake or any other body of water that would cause large scale flooding, there is always the potential for small scale flooding. Next slide. All right, so the next slide you're going to see is a social vulnerability index. And this determines which communities are most vulnerable to a disaster using the social vulnerability index that assess the following criteria. So race, ethnicity, and poverty, single parent head of households, educational attainment, limited English proficiency, carless households, age dependency ratio, population density, and access and functional needs populations. Okay, so Erica might have to help me with this one because I'm colorblind. But as you see, Baldwin Park is covered by a number of those different situations. So there is no area that's not covered by some part of that situation. And that's true of a lot of communities.
And like Scott says, there's a number of variables how we really determine social vulnerability. Sometimes it's just the geographic area of the community and what freeways intersect the city. So there's a number of things that we look at.
And really what social vulnerability means is what segments of the population are most likely to be more negatively impacted by the same disaster. Okay, can we go to the next slide?
Yep. Okay.
All right, this is client assistance. So between 2014 and 2019, in that 5-year period, the disaster action team received and responded to 26 service requests in the city of Baldwin Park. What the disaster action team is a team of volunteers who go and respond to single and multiple family emergencies, mostly house fires. So picture yourself if you were involved in a home fire and you lost your home, you were not able to go back in. If you're like most people that are living fine, but not with a lot of extra reserves, where are you going to go that night? Where are you going to stay? Where's your family going to stay? How are you going to get food? How are you going to get clothing if you've lost everything that night? So what the Red Cross is able to do is send this team of volunteers out to meet with the family right then and there where the disaster took place and provide them with a small amount of assistance, financial assistance, so that they can at least get their feet under them and have some breathing room to begin planning their recovery. And then our casework team meets with them and tries to help them access other resources in the community to help them recover from their disaster and get back on their feet and back to where they were before this happened. Okay, what you're seeing now is shelter agreements in the city of Baldwin Park. So each of these red dots represents a potential shelter. Now, none of these are designated as a shelter that anyone should go to. These are all sites that we have agreements with. We work in determining a shelter site with local emergency management, police, fire, and whatnot to determine which site is the most appropriate, and then we will announce which site we've opened. So none of these are automatically going to be shelter sites, but there are shelters all through Baldwin Park, and we're always surveying for more shelters. Okay, so we've installed a total of 217 alarms in 37 homes in Baldwin Park through the home fire campaign. which is a campaign that's designed to reduce the deaths in home fires by installation of smoke alarms, as well as educating people on fire safety, fire prevention, and how to get out of a home in the event of a fire. Our youth clubs, we have a youth club at Baldwin Park High School that we need to reactivate, and Sierra Vista High School, which is active. We have 26 residents currently listed as volunteers in our youth, biomed, which is blood, and disaster cycle services areas. For faith affiliates, we have St. John the Baptist and Baldwin Park Bilingual Seventh-day Adventist Churches. And 40 people receive services to the armed forces, which Erica talked about earlier, services, which means assistance to service members or to their families. And currently 744 children have been educated about the Pillowcase Project. The Pillowcase Project was actually developed following Hurricane Katrina, when college students were observed using pillowcases to carrying their belongings outside of dorms when they were evacuated. Following that, we partnered with a couple of different agencies. Disney was the first, and there's been some others since then, to provide pillowcases to young children who are educated as to what sort of things they should keep in there for a disaster kit. And they can decorate the pillowcase, color the pillowcase, and it actually lives underneath their bed. That's their personal disaster kit that they grab when they leave the house.
All right, thank you, Scott. And Scott will be here. If you have any questions for him, please send them regarding disaster or what you've heard presented tonight or this evening. And here is the phone number again and the email address to Yesenia, please. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategy. So number one, so it's to identify key leadership partnerships for readiness, response, and recovery. Of course, our relationship with the city, with the police department, LA County Fire. Having those relationships is crucial to building this initiative, this coalition, Prepare Baldwin Park Coalition. Community engagement and service. We could not do it without community engagement. The community plays an integral part of this, preparing the community and building the community to be able to respond to a disaster. Resiliency, development of community-based and led resiliency and preparedness plans through the 4 pillars of resiliency, which I'll be covering later in this presentation. But again, resiliency, you know, there are a number of disasters that will occur in our lifetime. And it's really that resiliency that you have that will allow you to bounce back faster. And leadership development. So our objective is to recruit residents, stakeholders in the city of Baldwin Park, and then give you the resources, train and develop local leadership for resiliency and disaster response. Again, the 4 pillars of resiliency. So preparedness, where we're talking right now about the importance of preparedness. Volunteers, recruiting folks that really kind of, this is really just hitting home, this is hitting you and saying, hey, I want to be a part of this initiative. I want to be ready. I want to be resilient. I want to not only be prepared myself, but then also be prepared to talk to this about your family and then also your neighborhood. That's really important. You know, you are going to be a leader. So it's important to kind of promote this amongst your neighbors and making sure that they're prepared as well. Understanding hazards, really taking a look. Scott covered some of the hazards that have already been identified in Baldwin Park, but going in deeper as well, hearing from the residents what hazards. I mean, you are residents. You are the best to tell us what your city is all about. And then resources, identifying the resource. What exists in the city that can really kind of, if there is a large scale disaster, where can residents go? Who can residents depend on? It's working together so that we can find those resources. And what we offer, so we offer free life-saving services, resources and training, support, facilitation, coordination, organizing and convening, organizing our elected and government leaders, organizing the community as well. So, and this, again, this is a community-based and led Resiliency and Coalition. We are your support. We are going to be there every step of the way. But really, this is a city initiative that the city is going to really kind of own, so that when a disaster happens, you are able to stand up, and the Red Cross, with the Red Cross support. Again, we are your partners. We are here to serve you. So when a disaster strikes again, injuries and deaths will be reduced. Fire-related accidents will be less. Property damage will be mitigated. Businesses will return to doing businesses sooner. So how are we going to start this? Prepare Baldwin Park. So resiliency building, attend monthly meetings. Today, this meeting is being aired on YouTube. Following the next month's meeting, we will share this meeting on Zoom. So it's going to be a lot more interactive. We're going to be able to have a conversation, a discussion. So right now it's more of a presentation. Starting next month, it's going to be a lot more interaction. We're going to be hearing some great presentations from the fire department, police department, and a lot of stakeholders in the city about emergency preparedness. Free virtual trainings, of course. Right now we are doing things virtually. Our in-person trainings have been on pause because of the pandemic, because of COVID. But again, you know, a few months hopefully down the line, when things are looking a lot better, when folks are vaccinated, things are safer, we hope to be able to resume our programs in person. Collaboration, resources, and we're going to be asking you to take the pledge as an organization or as an individual. Take the pledge to really join the Prepare Baldwin Park Coalition. Join this effort to better prepare Baldwin Park. Some of the resources that I talked about are virtual. We have preparedness shows for children. It's really important to talk to different age groups, with different information. So with kids, sometimes we talk about preparedness through a puppet show, and make it so that when there is a disaster, if there's a home fire, kids know what to do. Kids are able to talk to their parents about this as well. And then we also do Prepare You for individuals, again, for seniors and for teens. Again, different needs for different groups. Continuity of operations, planning for businesses. Again, you know, the great partnership with the Baltimore Park Business Association. You know, there's a lot of businesses that will get hurt during a large scale fire or an earthquake. We want to make sure businesses do have a plan as well. And then of course, high school clubs, virtual high school clubs, working with the youth on preparedness. Post-COVID, hopefully, you know, sooner than later, we'll be able to resume our first aid and CPR certification training, and then the free smoke alarms and fire alarm safety education, which is an in-person program. The Red Cross, we are exploring ways to do this differently, but typically before the pandemic, we would go into folks' homes with fire alarms and install fire alarms. But we are looking at ways to possibly be able to resume activities sooner than later. And hopefully once we're in a better situation, we'll be able to resume our free smoke alarm program. So again, question or comments, please send them to Yesenia. She is accepting text messages or emails. And again, yeah, I will also share my information at the end of this meeting. Please feel free to reach me as well if you don't have a question right now. So again, take action. The next step is to take the pledge, to make the commitment. Send us your information, please. After this meeting, we will be meeting virtually every fourth Tuesday of the month from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Zoom. Please RSVP to Yesenia. She will collect everyone's emails and contact information, and you will receive the link on how to participate. So I really hope to see you starting next month. Again, every fourth Tuesday of the month, 5 to 6:30 p.m. And again, we are meeting virtually right now. Again, I just want to thank you all for attending this you know, I know it's overwhelming sometimes, and there's a lot of things going on right now with everyone's personal lives, especially with the pandemic. But you know, thank you for making time to join us today, to join the American Red Cross. Thank you to the City of Baltimore Park for just opening the doors to us. We really appreciate it, and we're really excited to be able to do this in the City of Baltimore Park. And of course, if you RSVP, please pick up your free gift at the Esther Snyder Community Center. The city will accommodate for Wednesday or Thursday between 3 to 5 p.m. For some reason you cannot make it, please feel free to email or call the city. You can call me as well, but make sure to pick up your free gift. It's really great for when you are out shopping, cuando vas de compras. You know, really great gift. You know, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to join us today. Again, thank you. Here is my contact information. My phone number is 626-714-8483. My email address, erica.fraustoaguado@redcross.org. Thank you for joining us today. That is our presentation. And I look forward to seeing you, everybody, next month at our meeting. Please send me your contact information. Send your contact information so that we can get started. And now I'm gonna ask Yesenia, are there any questions, any comments? Yesenia, do we have any questions or comments? Last call for questions or comments. All right. If there are none, or Yesenia, you might be on mute, so last chance to unmute yourself. If not, I will end the meeting, and please, if something pops up later, you have my email address, you have my phone number, please let me know, and please join us next month. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Take care.
Thank you.